IVM.
Hi, welcome to a show about crypto. It is time for another episode. We have skirted this issue for a while, but it is impossible to do it anymore because it is one thing that keeps coming up in conversations right after. But is it legal and is it safe comes to? Is Bitcoin and is cryptocurrency in general an environmental nightmare? And to talk about it today, I have with me CEO of Mailman, Mohit Mamoria. Hi, Mohit. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Rohan. Thank you so much for having me. So excited.
It is a pleasure. I'm going to get straight into it. Is Bitcoin going to kill us all?
No. Probably might save us all.
It might save us all? Okay, please explain your statement.
Okay. The thing is, all of us right now are governed by authorities. And while Bitcoin is sparked the revolution of NFTs and so many other things, at the very basic fundamental level, Bitcoin just says you do not need authority to reach to a truth. There could be method which are so dumb that anybody can do or verify. Let me give you an example. So, for example, in these COVID days, you have to enter to a place. Usually, you show your green check mark on your Arogya Setu app. This is a method. This method is so dumb that anybody who is checking can see it's green or not. You don't know, but an authority version of this would look something like a doctor sitting at the place who is knowledgeable doctor and doing RT-PCR live and then allowing or disallowing you. So authority was replaced by a method so dumb that anybody could do.
Right.
So this is what Bitcoin says. Bitcoin says to reach to a truth, and this truth is about money. Who owns how much? This is the truth.
Sure.
Who owns how much? You do not need authorities like banks or governments to tell you how much you own. It could be a mathematical method that anybody can conclude how much you eventually own. That's why I'm saying, and why authority is sort of a zero-sum game. When one person, when one side wins, another side loses. While a method can be a positive-sum game. That's why I say, while in the authority-run world, we might end us all, maybe through a nuclear blast. Positive-sum game, then there's no authority. There could be methods to eventually have the same situation, same result, but in a different manner.
So for the sake of this conversation, I grant you that yes, there is a case to be made for decentralized finance. I grant you that there is a case for this method at arriving at this truth. But the one thing that seems to keep coming up in conversations is the fact that Bitcoin and the mining of Bitcoin is environmentally quite hectic. And I know that's not the most scientific way of putting it, but the statistics are kind of crazy, where the mining a certain amount of Bitcoin could take up the same amount of electricity that an EU resident uses over several months. I was looking at, say, NFTs. This is now not Bitcoin, but again, NFTs, right? Where just the minting of an NFT and getting it on the blockchain was, if I'm not mistaken, the same amount of electricity that an EU resident would use over 2 months. And EU residents, notoriously, given that they have great lifestyle, lots of gadgets, etc., that's a high amount of electricity usage. And that is becoming a problem that multiple people are flagging. And it's hard to get around that. So what's your take or your stand on that? Does Bitcoin have work to do, and does crypto have a lot of work to do in that direction?
Okay. I don't think there's any sentence that you said that I can disagree with. All of them, I completely agree with all of them. To put some context, last year, Bitcoin consumed, the entire mining facilities all over the world consumed more electricity than a country like Switzerland or Greece.
Now, that's terrifying.
Yes, this is scary. This is scary. But I just want to mention a few things.
Okay.
Number one, we are looking at this thing in absolute manner. Now, how do we compare Bitcoin? So, Bitcoin is consuming more power compared to what? Compared to gold mining? Not so much. Compared to our banks that have to run thousands of branches, thousands of ATM, keep producing and keep printing new paper bills? Not so much. But compared to what? This is the real question. Of course, in absolute terms, it happens. And this is, I think, a very similar story with all the technology. Whenever technology happens, whenever, as we say, human beings progress, all the cost has to be borne by the planet Earth in different form and manner. It's some sort of resources. So how technology works is you first make it work and then you make it right. So I'll give you an example. When internet was just starting up, and the companies like Google and Facebook were just starting up, they had to increased their data center capability so much in such a short time that everybody was complaining about electricity usage. They were saying, hey, this cloud is wreaking a havoc on the planet. But
Right.
eventually, right now, all the data centers, Apple, Facebook, Google, are run on renewable energy. This is one.
Okay.
This is standard motion of progress that we have seen with technology over and over again.
Right.
Second point I want to do is, I just mentioned we use some 58 terawatt hours in the last year, which is more electricity consumed by the entire countries like Switzerland, Greece. There was this one company, CoinShares, which actually went and spoken to these miners, and they researched. Of course, this data is incomplete because some miners want to stay anonymous, but they went to all large and medium miners, and they realized about 74 to 75% of this energy is used by renewable energy. So they are using wind, solar, hydropower, like renewable energy. And I'll tell you why this makes sense. At the end of the day, if you're running a mining facility, you want to maximize your profit. You are running a mining facility, you want to maximize your profit. And running your mining facility on renewable energy is more profitable to you than running on government electricity. This is and slowly, the miners are moving to countries where renewable energy is far more accessible and far more inexpensive. So I would say, of course, right now it's a problem, but in long term, I see it as a feature, but not a bug, because this eventually incentivizes everybody to move to renewable energy, and not just move to renewable energy, also invent better renewable energies, because now a lot of like $1 trillion market cap is sitting is at the stake. So the stakes are so big that you have incentive to invent better renewable energies.
So to take off from what you said, I have multiple questions, so I'll try and take them one at a time. One of those being that yes, it's all, and it's interesting to me that this data says that a lot of miners are using renewable energy, etc. And while they might be moving to countries where that access is possible, as this thing grows in adoption, it just the fact of the matter is that everybody who's mining the coin and everybody who's getting in on it is not going to be in a place where they have access to renewable energy or clean energy or better energy. And that's not going to stop them do it, because let's face it, moral concerns have never stopped the pursuit of money in the history of mankind, right?
Yes.
And so how do you work against that? Because on the one hand, there is, yes, the system is the way it is, and the best case scenario is that people move to renewable energy while mining this. But in terms of the way the system works is, I have two questions. One is, what about the system causes it to consume this much energy at this point? And if we leave aside the fact that, yes, there will be a bunch of people who can move to renewable energy, what can this actual system do to use less energy, renewable or otherwise? What moves can the system make, and is the system making them?
Okay, first of all, I should applaud you for these wonderful questions. These are hard questions. So let me take them one by one. What makes this system use so much of energy? Okay, so I just told you about authority versus method, two approaches to reach to the same truth. So this is sort of how method works. In generalized form, method says you have to put your skin in the game. You have to put your skin in the game and commit to something. If that turns out to be false, whatever you have whatever work you have done, whatever stake you have put in, it'll go away from you. That's how.
So this is proof of work and proof of stake that we're talking about.
So no. So this is generalized form. Proof of work and proof of stake are two different methods to apply the same thing, two different implementations.
Correct.
So basically, you put something at stake. And you say something, but if that turns out to be falsified by anybody in the system is open. By anybody in the system, whatever you put up will be gone. Now, proof of work says you do not have to put in money and anything. You just say that you have consumed some energy. You just prove that you have done some work. So compare it to this, so for example, sending letters, snail mails.
Sure.
Before emails, you had to put up a stamp to send. Without stamp, you could not send it. So that was a way to control. That was a skin in the game. If you remove that, you just introduce technology, emails, you have ton of spam. It's a different problem. So this proof of work and proof of stake is like having a stamp with what you say. So it proves that you have spent some energy or spent some money. In proof of work, you spend some energy. So Bitcoin says you have to prove me that you have spent some energy. Prove me you have spent some energy. So it's a feature, like it's a dictation by the method. Prove me that you have spent some energy. Then you can make a say into the group.
And I'm sorry to
That's
interrupt
why-
you, but just
Yes.
for my understanding and for the audience's energy, the spending of energy is essentially in the solving of equations and doing of math.
Yes. So basically, it's
Right?
a very difficult. You get a mathematical problem. Use your computer power to solve the problem. If you
Okay.
have solved the problem, it basically proves that you have spent the energy, because this
Right.
problem is not easily solvable. So
Okay.
that proves that you have spent the energy, and you can make a save now. And the thing is, this problem gets difficult over time. So if more people are participating, the problem becomes more difficult. So everybody will have to spend more and more energy. So this helps in preventing this network from hackers, because if
Okay.
100 people are spending this much of energy to solve an equation, one hacker with one laptop cannot come in and like do anything, because he'll have to like be at least
Right.
at this level. So the
Right.
cost of attacking the network gets higher. So as the network gets more adopted, the cost to attack the network keeps going higher. That basically is the security of the network. So security
Right.
of the Bitcoin comes from the energy consumption that is happening all over the world. But now we have figured out, hey, there could be another way as well. Instead of spending
Okay.
energy, what if you could just ask people to stake their money? You stake some money and you make a statement. If that statement is true, of course, you get some reward. If that statement is false, whatever you have staked will be taken away and will be distributed among everybody else.
Give me an example of a true or false statement. Like if we can just take this from the abstract to the slightly specific.
Absolutely. So a simple true or false statement could be, I own 5 Ethereums.
Okay.
And I own 5 Ethereums, and Rohan own 5 Ethereums, and Rohan sent 2 Ethereum to Mohit. These are 3 different statements. I make them and I stake something. I say I am staking 10 Ethereum for this statement, for this claim. Everybody else can verify, because all the transactions are open. Everybody can read.
Okay.
So anybody can verify here. Okay, Rohan actually had 5 Ethereum. Mohit actually had 5 Ethereum. Rohan actually sent 2 Ethereum to Mohit. Now Rohan has 3 Ethereum. Mohit has 7 Ethereum. It's all true. Let's move on. But if
Okay.
anyone sees that I made a false statement, they'll just take my 10 Ethereum stake and will be distributed among everybody. So basically, I just
Okay.
lose. Here, I do not have to have computation power of this level to attack a network. But I need more money than everybody else in the network. So that also gives the
Right.
security to the network.
Right.
So these are
Okay.
just 2 ways. So when I say energy consumption or money consumption, these are just ways to prevent the network from hackers. Because if everything is so simple that anybody could change from their laptops, the downside of this is hackers also have like access to one laptop. So we just
Sure.
have to just make it a little difficult for them to attack the network. That's why
Okay.
the energy consumption is there, to provide the security to the network.
Okay, so then to now come to the second half of that question, which
What can we
is
do?
that what can we do, in the sense that, like you said, right?
Yes.
First, the technology has to exist and then has to be perfected. And we've seen this
Yeah.
in the past, which is where we had the combustion engine come in, and then
Yeah.
it's taken us in excess of 100 years to turn the internal combustion into an engine which that now meets certain standards, and which certain companies still have to falsify data for. All right, this is the very important
Yes.
thing. And it's taken us 100 years to get here. And my worry is that we don't have another 100
Yes.
to do this. So is there a way that today the Bitcoin network or the Ethereum network or just the way we make NFTs can genuinely become more energy efficient in a way that's not just, no, we'll use the same amount of energy, but we'll do it with solar energy, which is it's a workaround, but not a fix, in my opinion. So
Yes.
how do you fundamentally get to that point where you're using less units of energy?
Absolutely. So there are 2 ways.
Mhm.
There are 2 ways to do it. And these 2 ways are actually worked upon actively by the
Right.
members of the ecosystem. So the second way is, instead of asking people to stake their energy, you ask people to stake their money.
Right.
So this is something similar that we just discussed. So you ask
Proof
people
of
to stake
stake,
their
not
money.
proof of work.
Yes. So it's a proof of stake. So you just prove that you have staked something, and if it turns out to be false, your stake will be gone.
Right.
The second thing, so with proof of stake, so right now, let me give you context. To run proof of work mining facility, you need to have tens of millions of dollars, large geographical area, with electricity,
Yeah.
air conditioning, and computers running 24/7. With
This
proof
is
of
my
work,
main issue with a lot of Bitcoin mining, and the idea of mining a lot of Bitcoin is that every time I try to imagine somebody doing it in large amounts, the only picture that comes to mind is a Bond villain, because only they could have the infrastructure to make that
Yep.
work. And how do we move
Yep.
away from that?
Yes. So the proof of stake, in theory, can be run using very cheap laptop.
Okay.
Instead of all of this, anybody could run a node. We say a node as a computer who is participating, who is verifying the transactions,
Right.
using just a laptop. So you could do it. Your mobile phone could do it. You could have a small computer in your home which is doing this 24/7 and making you some
Okay.
free money. All of this is possible. But now, earlier you needed tens of millions of dollars to set up that facility. Now you need some hundreds of thousands of dollars to stake money to begin
Right.
with. So there's some entry barrier, definitely, which is a feature to avoid hackers. There's entry barrier, but now entry barrier is different. Entry barrier is not you have to set up this facility. Entry barrier is just something very digital. You just take money. So
Right.
so all of this could be converted into just 10 laptops around the world doing everything.
Okay. It could be, but you're saying it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? To
Yes.
still, as it's gone from millions of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that's still, as a little guy, I'd still have to do the mining to be able
Yes.
to participate, right? Which means that
Yes.
adoption is going to be frustratingly difficult. So, which brings me to my sort of next question about this, which is that are active steps being taken to make sure that you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to move to a slightly more responsible version of, because here's the thing, I want to make money, but I also want to go to bed knowing that Greta Thunberg isn't absolutely furious at me. That's important to me. So how do I balance the two?
Oh, Rohan, this is a feature because we need some entry barrier. If there's no entry barrier, anybody could participate, then everybody would participate, and some malicious actors would also participate.
Okay.
But there's a thing. So you do not have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars just yourself. You could group
Okay.
people together. You could say, hey,
Okay.
we 20 people have come together, and then we are running this one node, and all the rewards that we'll get, we'll divide it into 20 people at the end of the quarter or at the end of the month or year. This is what has been happening in the mining itself. So one person does not spend tens of millions of dollars. They run a pooling facility where anybody can join in, contribute some energy, and whatever reward this main guy gets is distributed among whatever energy everybody contributed with. So the similar thing could be done with proof of stake, but we do not want the stakes to be lower. We want some entry barrier to be there. We want some. So this is like stamp. What happens when you remove the stamp from the letter? Email and spam. And then you have to build different solutions to tackle that. So you need some stamp. So basically you need some entry barrier to make sure the quality is maintained.
A lot more conversation with Mohit Mamoria coming up about cryptocurrency and its impact on the environment. But for now, we are going to take a very short break and be back.
Security on a computer is like a layered cake, but no matter how secure each layer is, attackers and hackers are going to work tirelessly to find a vulnerability and exploit it. These cyber attacks can sneak into systems unnoticed, eventually gaining access to all the programs and files on your computer. Luckily, with Intel vPro, all of this is avoidable. Intel vPro has the Intel Hardware Shield, which adds protection to every layer of the computer system with 3 groups of security capabilities. Advanced threat protection, which helps quickly detect and remediate the latest ransomware and crypto mining attacks on the system. Below the OS security, which helps identify unauthorized changes to hardware and firmware, and application and data protection, which helps prevent memory corruption and malware injections. So, secure your organization's productivity with hardware-based security, only with Intel vPro. Visit www.intel.in/itheroes to know more. Intel vPro, built for business.
All right, and we're back from this super short break, and we're in conversation with Mohit Mamoria about cryptocurrency and its impact on the environment. Earlier in 2021, or was it late 2020? The timelines are fuzzy because who remembers what years are anymore since 2019? But there comes a point in the last year where Tesla goes, we will accept Bitcoin. And then Tesla starts accepting Bitcoin, and then Tesla starts getting a lot of shit about accepting Bitcoin, and so do a lot of companies, and they start pointing out the environmental costs of Bitcoin, and Tesla goes, oh shit, okay, maybe we won't take Bitcoin. One, and this is the important question that I have to ask because I'm a deep skeptic, did Tesla stop taking Bitcoin because they actually gave a shit about the environment, or did Tesla just go, we now have enough Bitcoin over just the few weeks that they left it open? And two, is this the sort of thing that's going to force people's hand? Are we going to see more cases of this where companies go, the only way we can get involved with crypto is if this is more responsible? What happens there?
Fantastic questions. By the way, we missed one question: why NFTs are so expensive to mint these days? Probably we can talk.
Yes. Why is Space Cat so horrible? Actually, let's finish that off. Why?
Okay, so minting of NFT, if you look at the cost, is the same, just that in dollar terms, it has gone up. Why it has gone up? Because the Ethereum has gone up. So, for example, if you move to a different country, you could get the same coffee for $3 in 2010 and 2020. But if you convert this $3 to INR, you will see that the coffee has become more expensive. But at the end of the day, in that country, the coffee was same $3. So in the Ethereum terms, the cost is same, but just that a lot of people have started using Ethereum. The value of Ethereum has gone up. Right. That's why the same operation now takes a little bit more money than earlier.
Okay.
This is minting of NFT. Value of NFT is entirely different thing. It is absolutely entirely different half an hour conversation. Yes.
Don't even want to get into that. Don't even want to. It just my brain breaks. But never mind. Yes. I digress. Yes.
Coming back to Tesla.
Yes.
Okay. So could I ask for how long you have heard about crypto, or if have you invested in crypto? Like how much time has?
I've had skin in the game for, I'm going to say, about 10, 11 months, just under a year. Mm-hmm. And I've been hearing about crypto since like the old days. I'm talking 2012 when people were all like, this is going to change the world, to all the stories of people just getting 10 and 20 Bitcoins. I'm talking about like pre 10,000. I'm talking about pre all of that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Do you feel regret a little bit?
So you know what? I did. And then somebody pointed out one interesting logical fallacy to me, because we see so many of these statements these days, right? Well, if you bought $20 worth of crypto in 2012, you'd have $40 million. But you wouldn't, though, because you would have at some point looked at that investment, and pretty much everybody who had that back then would have been like, this is not going anywhere, or this is going in this, because there have been so many ups and downs that you wouldn't still have those 20 Bitcoin or 30 Bitcoin. They'd be in a wallet or a hard drive somewhere that you've forgotten about. So I feel a little regret, but I feel like I have so many other regrets in my life that this one's barely a blip on my radar. So it's not a problem.
Fantastic. Okay, so this anybody who enters this market, this is their traditional journey. They see very high returning something, an asset or a coin. They talk to their friends. They get like-minded friends. They put some money in, and at some point in time, which is like between 1 year and 3 years, they hear something about environment. This is anybody's normal trajectory, because this is how information flows in this industry. You come for the money, you come for the returns, but then you slowly start to know about the ground realities of how everything works.
Come for the money, stay for the guilt.
Yes. And everything, and I think with Tesla as well, the similar thing has happened. Bitcoin, with all its promises and returns and everything, and let me just remind you, when Tesla started putting money in Bitcoin, there was another company who was going super heavy on Bitcoin. It was called MicroStrategy. And the CEO of MicroStrategy actually raised money to put money in Bitcoin and put Bitcoin on the balance sheet of the company. So this was sort of a strategy, and this is a public company, not a small company. This is a public company, and when in 3-month period the value of the company went from this to this, everybody's eyes popped up. They were like, just with this one transaction, you could actually raise the value of the company. So Bitcoin became very attractive to public companies at that point in time, and because one person has already, so guinea pig was already there. Right. Whoever would do it will not be called crazy.
Yeah,
like that crazy.
So Tesla, and I mean, Elon's awake and tweeting anyway, right? So he's awake and tweeting anyway. So why not?
Yes. So why not? And for Tesla, it's just a small amount. They do it, but like everybody else, they are told about the environmental crisis and the ground realities. If you look at that tweet that Elon Musk tweeted, I would tell you could see all the veterans of this industry. When I say veterans, I mean just who has been in this industry more than 3 or 4 years. They have replied with data that what seems from the ground, what seems from far away is not really the case. 75% energy is renewable, and energy is sort of a feature. And then things are being actively worked upon to replace this energy with something which is less energy consumptive, like money.
Right.
So things are there. So Tesla came for whatever the reason was. Now they could have enough Bitcoins. So this is typical risk management. when you hedge against something, you do not want to have more than 10%, 20% like of your entire thing, because if this thing goes down, everything goes down.
Sure,
It
sure.
sinks the ship. So it's a typical risk management lesson. Once you have enough, you can take a chill pill, maybe wait for a few days, few years, few months. Then you can see, hey, this thing was positive for us, this thing was negative for us, and then just double down or back off. Very
Right.
simple.
So what you're
but I
saying
think-
is Tesla just wanted to hold on to that Bitcoin and they didn't want any more Bitcoin. Now that they had what they had, they spun the not taking any more Bitcoin as an environmental. No.
I'm just saying it's sensible to not take more risk, while also to be seen as somebody who is environmental favorable.
Right. Sense to be seen.
It's just
I like the
risk.
use of the phrase "to be seen as," and not just to be, but to be seen as, which is an important phrase here. So to my next question then, can Bitcoin ever be green tech, like in the sense using things like layer 2 solutions, etc.? Are we looking at, because here, and this is sort of my, like, I don't have too many more questions. This is my closing thesis and sort of worry. And then you can respond to that with your expertise, please. My worry is this. We have been here before with several other technologies. We have been here, and this is true of whether it's the internal combustion engine or, like you said, the internet or all of those things. And the worry is that when there's money to be made and people are worried about having a bad look, all manner of promises can be made. We have seen these promises from car manufacturers. We have seen these promises from finance people. We have seen these promises from all of those people. Except what history also tells us is that a lot of times, while yes, sincere efforts are made to make things better, there is a lot of eye-washing followed by the same practices just continuing covertly. I don't want to point fingers, but I do a little bit. Classic example, car industry, Volkswagen, right? Went out, dined for years on the name of Blue Motion and we are clean and we are this and all of those things. And then one look under the hood and we found out that that was all bullshit. So how do we make sure that, one, this is an industry that is genuinely moving to honor these promises that it's making, where it goes now that people have heard about it, it goes, okay, we hear you, we see you, we realize that this is not sustainable as more and more people rush to adopt it, versus just some more sleight of hand and chicanery to, like, to use a phrase that you said, be seen as environmentally responsible without taking the steps to be that much more environmentally responsible. That's my worry. That you're just replacing a certain kind of financial chicanery and sleight of hand with another kind of it. And how do we make sure that it's not that?
It's absolute valid worry. And just wanted to change one thing in your statement.
Please.
Whenever you said they, in the Bitcoin world or in the cryptocurrency world, there's no they. This is the beauty of it. It's all us. So if you look at the Ethereum code base, everything is open source. If you are a developer, you have interesting ideas, you could contribute to it.
Sure.
Because everything is based on math. So and you could see that over the last 3 years, the progress has been made every single day, every single week, every single month in the new code base that is based on proof of stake.
Right.
You could see that progress over the last 3 years, and you could see how much we have covered, and you could participate in the discussions, which are all public, all open. There are no closed doors, there are no board meetings. Everything happens online. Everybody could see. Everybody, you, me, everybody, we could see, and we could contribute as well. We could say, hey, this is a bad idea because of these reasons. This is a better idea, and if your idea is really a better idea, trust me, it will be accepted like this, and they'll not even ask you about your credibility or credentials, nothing. Your math works, then you work. So there's no they in the system. Everything that we see is open source. We can see, we can validate, we can verify, we can ask questions, everything openly, publicly. This is one. So we could see that in last 3 years, Ethereum, the second biggest blockchain, has done a tremendous job of moving slowly to proof of stake. Of course, it's a very difficult migration, because you have to account for so many things. You have to account for the previous balances. You have to account for hackers not coming in. There's so many different things, because once the system is live, once the beast is out, you cannot control, and you do not want something to go bad. So this is one. There is no they.
Right.
Second, there was. Second is the prediction that I want to make. So we have spoken a lot about Bitcoin, but I was answering in a sense where I was just replacing Bitcoin with cryptocurrencies. Like Bitcoin
I'm with you on this. I'm with you on this 100%. Bitcoin, also want to be clear to the audience, Bitcoin here was stand-in word for crypto because it's one of those things to me where I'm like, if as a technology, it's not going to improve, it is going to be supplanted by other cryptocurrencies eventually.
Yeah. So the prediction that I want to make is probably we'll see other cryptocurrencies moving to a better energy solutions than Bitcoin. And if in short term, nobody's moving anywhere. In medium term, you will see big popular currencies like Ethereum and others, or new ones starting to be on proof of stake. And eventually, in very long term, Bitcoin, not the cryptocurrencies, the Bitcoin, the one cryptocurrency, might eventually move to energy, like energy favorable green tech. But I think my prediction is Bitcoin for now is so stable, you do not want to mess with it because $1 trillion are at stake. So therefore, people would be very careful to do something with it. But eventually, at one point in time, definitely will happen, but not in next 5-6 years. But other currencies will definitely move to other mechanisms.
Thank you, Mohit. That helps clear it up. And what I got from what Mohit said right now is that basically, if Bitcoin is what you hold and not other cryptocurrencies, you are guilty of environmental wastage. So as a solution, I would like to suggest is, if you've got any Bitcoin, to take that guilt off yourself. I will leave my wallet address at the end of this episode, and you can just send me all your Bitcoin, and then I can just carry all of that guilt for you, and then you can be guilt free. And I think that's a good solution, and everybody wins. And I will not be taking any questions at this time. So Mohit, my final question to you is the slightly on a philosophical note, coming from what you said, which is there's no they, it's us, it's everybody. This is the entire point of decentralization, which brings me to my slightly philosophically uneasy question is, when something is decentralized and when something belongs to all of us, it can go two ways. One is everybody feels a sense of responsibility. But the other, more horrific possibility is that because responsibility is so loosely spread out, no one person feels a sense of responsibility. As a result of which, you could also have the ultimate in apathy. So with respect to these environmental concerns, especially in a situation where when everybody's making money, nobody asks too many questions, is this larger us? Do you see it as being responsible, or are we all essentially just going to devolve into just a new set of finance bros?
Okay. See, you have mentioned something very interesting, just left out one piece. The responsibility is spread all across. It's very loosely spread. Totally get it. But there's also reward if you do your job responsibly. So, for example, you have used torrents before, right?
I choose not to answer that question on recording. I choose to not answer that question on a recorded conversation. Mohit, thank you.
Okay. So Rohan has not used torrents.
Hypothetically, let's say that there's a guy called Sohan who has used torrents.
Okay. So torrents is also a decentralized technology.
Right.
So the video file that you finally download comes from different computers all throughout the world. But there is no reward for it. The only reward to seed a torrent is that you get a little reputation in the ecosystem, in the community. That's it. That's the reward. And this reward is so intangible. With Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, if you do your job responsibly, there is actually a reward. Like you get paid. You get paid, but not by some government or some organization or some corporation. You get paid by the method itself. You get paid by the Bitcoin itself, the protocol itself. That's why, while the responsibility is loosely spread, if you do it, you get reward. If you don't do it, you get nothing. It's very simple incentive mechanism. And because to earn this reward, you have to spend some money or some energy into it. You want to be profitable. You want that input to be as low as possible to get this reward. This reward is fixed. You want your input to be as low as possible. That's why the incentives are working in a way where I can bet money that eventually things will move to everything renewable, very cheap, something that doesn't destroy Earth, because it doesn't matter. Because if Bitcoin touches $1 million per Bitcoin and there are no human beings, it doesn't matter. So we need everybody to be there.
That's a brilliant answer. And the only part of your answer that I take issue with is the part where you said that for torrents, there's no reward. I don't think that's true, because growing up, I didn't think there was anybody cooler than the guy on Easy TV or the guy on Pirate Bay who had, those trusted verified uploader badges. That's the reward. And I'm like, that is the coolest man on the internet. That is a verified sharer of pop culture. That right there is a gold-plated pop culture sharer.
This is the exact reputation I was talking about. But I'm sure it was not you, but Sohan.
I was so I've always thought. I don't know what you're talking about, Mohit. I was like, who are you? I don't know you. Why am I here? But okay, to sum up, what I've learned from you is that yes, cryptocurrency does come with a certain amount of environmental concerns. But two, one of the ways of moving forward with addressing that is moving more and more crypto mining and crypto work to renewable sources of energy. Two is actually changing a lot of it from proof of work to proof of stake, where there's less energy being spent on just constant computation and more just trust based on skin that people have in the game. And three, you are optimistic about the fact that we're not just going to devolve into another bunch of boomer finance bros and the system, because this system is us, as you said, there's no they. Us and we will make sure that this is a greener, cleaner place. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that that's true. And I'm going to hope that Greta Thunberg doesn't kill us all one day. On that note, Mohit Mamoria, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been a very, very informative episode and a great chat. You can find Mohit Mamoria. He's CEO. He's on Twitter. CEO of Mailman HQ. You can also occasionally find him on torrent sites, is what I've understood from this conversation. And I look forward to meeting you there, because you will not see me on Twitter. Thanks, Mohit. Thanks so much. This has been another episode of the show about crypto, and we will see you next week with more insights into this wild, wild west of cryptocurrency.
Hey, everybody. It's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On the season finale of Getting Meta, Chuck speaks to social service activist Srini Swaminathan about how he completed 28 cycling marathons despite having asthma. On Candid Kanan, ex-Big Boss contestant Ali Goni opens up to Siddharth about his relationship with Jasmine and how it was received at home. On Shunyuvan, Shiladitya and myself speak to Kirti Jangra, co-founder and COO of Animal Technologies, about the journey of this cattle trading platform. Yeah, it's a cattle trading platform. Really interesting. Do check it out. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth tells us about the design interface lessons we are learning from Zoom. And on Hansvani, listen to a beautiful ghazal titled Ghar Badal. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of the shows on the IVM network for that matter, please do tell a friend. We really appreciate that. And finally, I'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Fiat Cred, Banco Baroda, Quarter, and CoinSwitch Kuber. We really do appreciate the support.
Eventually, you'll see the end of your childhood,
Get accustomed to womanhood.
enjoy the experience of sisterhood,
Might get to wifehood
or not, choose motherhood,
or not. You'll learn to define your personhood.
earn a livelihood,
Change the neighborhood.
and get rid of the falsehood that life post-academia is easy.
So join me, Natasha,
And me, Ayushi,
on a journey from station starting point.
to station, what now?
Next station, Pudin station, and hopefully Agla station, adulthood.
Fresh episodes out every Thursday.